Welcome back to Fujitsu Forum TV, where we continue to bring you coverage from Fujitsu Forum 2019. What a day it's been. Did our first segment, 9 a.m. this morning we were on air, and we've been top of the hour, half past the hour, all the way through. We're living up to that commitment we promised you yesterday. By the time we come off air tomorrow at 5:30, we would have brought you all 4 keynotes live and exclusive, and we'd have delivered more than 40 live interviews from the very people that are running breakout sessions, the interactive breakout sessions here. Of course, if you were here in Munich this week, you would have seen the 4 keynotes, obviously. There's around 60 breakout sessions you could have gone to, and then there's the digital transformation zone, which we're sat in the heart of. There's a lot of technology that's being exhibited here this week, showing how things are moving and where businesses should be casting an eye. Of course, technology has that wonderful ability to not just address the key challenges business and society are facing, but unlocking value. And unlocking value through challenge is one of the things we're going to be looking at next. In fact, we're going to be exploring delivering digital transformation through SAP and enterprise applications. Delighted to say David Cameron, Head of Robotics, AI, for Fujitsu UK and I and Europe, I believe.
Yes, for Western Europe, yes.
Thank you for swinging by. There's a lot going on with SAP at the moment.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, we did a couple of interviews earlier hearing about 2025 and what's happening with SAP HANA and all the rest of it. I'm aware Fujitsu has evolved the traditional RPA Centre of Excellence model. What's driven the evolution?
So what we found was that the traditional Centre of Excellence model that was put forward by the platform vendors was focused on one thing, which was actually getting their platform into organizations and having them actually run some initial automations. So it was all about selecting a platform, setting up some infrastructure, finding some use cases and doing some initial automations. It was not set up for actually scaling out that activity, so organizations were running into lots of problems. So when we looked at it, we decided to have a look at what's Fujitsu famous for in terms of delivering large-scale technology adoption. So we pulled through some of those hygiene factors and discipline that we have for large-scale adoption. We're now applying that to the field of RPA.
Let's talk automation for a moment, because it's not just hot topic, it's an increasing hot topic. In fact, there's a lot of commentary going on here around it, but are we getting beyond the point of sort of discussion and to a point of scale, or are we still being held back?
Well, very much so. So Fujitsu has identified what we call as the automation glass ceiling. So organizations have probably spent about maybe 12 to 18 months now experimenting with RPA, but they're running into lots of problems with that in terms of how do you actually identify automation targets? What's my level of automation ambition? How big should this program be? What's the change impact in our organization? What does that mean to our skills strategy? And all of these things combined are actually creating this glass ceiling on top of these automation rollouts, and it's really preventing some organizations from proceeding. But we believe with our industrialized automation operating model, we can really break through that glass ceiling and enable those organizations to be successful.
I think it's worth saying there's a white paper out there entitled Breaking Through the Glass Ceiling. If you go onto the RPA page on Fujitsu Global, you'll be able to find all of those materials. What about embedding it into organizations? The theory is one thing, but practical embedment is another. I mean, where are the challenges?
So I think there's a couple of key areas that we would call out for enterprises to consider. The first one is actually defining what's the level of your automation ambition. And the reason why we say that is it's the single biggest question I get asked by customers is, we don't know what the value is to our organization. We've done some tests, we've got some pilot deployments in place, but how does this really scale out across the organization? So the most important thing is to actually set what is that level of automation ambition, and we believe that should be at around 20% of your process landscape. So that's quite a big number, but that's backed up by various studies into how the skill shift challenge will evolve over the next 10 years, and how you'll see about a 30 to 38% reduction in back office skills, and that'll be replaced by technology. The second key thing we'd really want customers to understand is how do you actually go about identifying automation targets. That's the other big challenge that I get time and time again from customers is we've got some deployments in place, but we're struggling now to identify what these should be. And we would really advocate customers have a much more industrialized, technology-led approach to actually identifying these automation targets.
We can't talk automation without discussing the human element. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to be aware of the human-centric philosophies Fujitsu have, but for the skeptics watching this thinking, well, it's doing away with jobs, robotics are coming and taking away my craft. What do you have to say to that?
So I think it's a big misconception that automation is only about reduction in waste and reduction in effort. The other side of that coin is actually the creation of value. So one of the interesting things is that there's lots of studies being run with the CXOs and look at, well, where does reduction in a number of FTEs or number of employees sit in your agenda? And it's actually 10 out of 10. What CEOs are most interested in is how can we actually create a lean organization that will grow our business and create future value. So there will be some changing of roles, there will be some upskilling, but we believe that that's a much better environment for employees to be in, where they can do much higher value add tasks, much more rewarding tasks, and it can actually play a much higher value add for the enterprise as well.
I'm going to put you on the spot. We do this a lot here on Fujitsu Forum TV. 12 months' time, you're back in the chair. What are you going to be talking about?
So I think what we've seen to date in the market is there's only maybe a handful of organisations that have actually broken through that glass ceiling. One of those is Bank of Tokyo Mitsubishi, where Fujitsu actually helped them to go from 50 robots up to 3,500 robots. And what I think you're going to see now over the next 12 months is a real watershed moment in the market. Some of these technologies around identification of automation targets and actually automating the build function of the robot as well, these are now going to come to maturity, and you're going to see many more organisations who are going to be hitting something like about 1,000 robots within about the next 12 months. So what I'd like to do is to come back in 12 months' time and actually show you how we've helped guide some of those organisations on that journey.
Well, we will hold you to that. It's worth saying, if you want a tangible example of how automation is having a positive role, tomorrow, the security segment we'll be bringing you. There's a new technology, SAW. Analysts have been wedded down with some pretty mundane tasks, but they've now been released to actually work on, as you were saying, the more important tasks to help the quest against cybercrime and combating the vulnerabilities that businesses undoubtedly have. So tune in for that, and you'll be able to pick up on some of what David is saying. Thank you for coming and joining us. There is still one more segment to come today on Fujitsu Forum TV. We will be back live, what time is it? In about 20 minutes time. If you can spare me, I don't know, 6 to 8 minutes, I am going to walk you through all 16 interviews today. I'm going to give you the headline, so if you've missed any of the action, you'll know which segments to go and seek out on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. There is a lot of insight that we've brought you today, looking at how technology can and is addressing key challenges within your business and society. So swing back at 6 o'clock CET for that, and hopefully we'll point you in the direction of some great insight. Thanks for watching.